Hey folks, welcome to More Than a Refresh, the T3D sessions. Today we have my friend Thomas from Umbrella Security. For those that didn't get the reference, Umbrella Corp is the evil corporation that is in the Resident Evil series of video games and movies. So when Thomas came to me and said, "Hey man, let's do an episode," it kind of clicked the old brain with those movies and video games. Hey Thomas, you're in security, physical on-prem security design. Why don't you introduce yourself just briefly, and then let's get into it.
Sure. I've been in the security industry for 25 years. I've developed two businesses in that scope, both in security. I'm a former software engineer who developed an algorithm to correct a fisheye's perspective view and enable pan-tilt zoom navigation. We deployed over 13,000 cameras for the Chicago Transit Authority, it's actually still in operation today. And I got the opportunity to work with installers, system integrators, and consultants all around the world. When it was time to kind of pivot and do something else, I decided to compete with all the customers that I had been working with over the years. And because I audited my strengths, and I'm very, our company is very good at you're designing complex enterprise security infrastructure for government agencies, commercial properties, oil and gas, things of that nature. And we've been doing that now for coming up on 9 years. So Umbrella
All right, so
Security
you
is
do
a
some
yeah,
you do some of the hush hush wink wink work.
a lot of the time, yes,
Yeah.
that's right.
So let me ask you this. I'm old school. My security involves the Second Amendment. Um, what what is the like? If you were to say to myself, I got to design a system for my family,
Hmm.
right? And you're not selling it, right? I'm not. I don't want a sales pitch here. I want the
Yeah.
real, honest, transparent disclosure of if I was designing a system to protect my family, what is the number one thing?
Accessibility, and the biggest thing that I really preach is don't put a system in that is the appearance of good. Put a system in that is actually can deter, right? Because we are now used in society, we are used to seeing cameras, and now criminals are used to confronting cameras. Look what just happened this past week. We got the Google from the supposed
Oh, the
abductor.
Nest or whatever for Guthrie.
Right. They just took the
Yeah.
camera off and went about their business. What needs to happen is a automatic response in a a programming of these systems that can deter. As long as you can deter and buy time, you can create a positive exit strategy. So it can't just be a security system alone. If I'm talking to my best friend and saying, "Hey, put a camera here, put a camera there," that's the appearance of safe. What you want is the ability, it depends on obviously your property, and all of these need to be custom designed to a degree or thought through, is alerts saying, "Hey, this is not an appropriate time to come to my house. Please come again later." And if that motion detects that human being in front of your house consistently, police are called, an audible alarm or a siren can go off. That spooks 90+% of these criminals, and then they're gone and out of your hair. But just showing that you have a camera is not enough today.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, you're the expert, but as someone who nomads a lot, right? One of the greatest concerns for a nomad is your home is there on wheels, and they're not particularly. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's a van, an RV, a schoolie, whatever. They're not designed to not be broken into,
Right.
right? And so when people say, "Well, how do you keep yourself safe?" When you're inside the bus, that's easy, or inside the
Mhm.
RV, that's easy, right? That's, your standard, mace, club,
Yep.
gun, whatever.
Mhm.
But it's when you leave, like I want to go shopping, I want to go to dinner, I want to go
Right.
to a movie. And then I'm coming about to the point is that probably, and you would know the numbers better, but my guess is that 95 to 98% of physical crime
Hmm.
is crime of opportunity,
Correct.
right? Thieves are lazy. That's why they're
Right.
thieves. So if you put even just a lock on the door that is visible, right?
Mhm.
They literally, damn it, I need bolt cutters.
Yep.
They're going to move on because they can't get, unless they know for a fact that you have something that they deeply desire, they're going
Hmm.
to move on to the next smash and grab.
For sure. 100%.
Um, so you said you do, you design is a lot of it is on-prem. One of the people that we may work with is, which I'm sure you know these folks, is Allied Universal.
Of course.
Um, but you're designing the systems, not the labor.
Right. Allied mostly provides security guards and system training. We develop the tech, so we develop the tech that the operators like an Allied would use. And AI is a big component today of not just being a deterrent, but detecting real threats in commercial environments.
So give us an example of that. I mean, and I've had a lot of quote unquote AI on my episodes recently,
Hmm.
and I'm just going to be, it's not AI, right?
Yep.
It's the same stuff we've been doing for 50 years. It's just faster.
I
Uh,
love that you said that. I couldn't agree more. In fact, I actually did an interview a couple months ago about this topic. I've been in the security industry for 25 years. When we first started talking about it, it was called machine vision learning. And then in my industry, then it became video analytics. And now we're just kind of substituting in a very lazy way AI with what it really is a pre-programmed algorithm that is designed to detect objects. It cannot read people's minds. It cannot do anything for the most part that systems, 5, 10 years ago couldn't do. But now it's kind of more categorized. It's more
well, it's also
categorized.
faster.
Exactly. And processing speed is faster and it's
Yeah.
more on a chip now and it can be embedded in a camera instead of sending that signal for analysis after the fact. Right.
So that's actually an interesting point. And it's almost a political point. And we don't need to get into the politics of it, but from a machine learning, video analytics, and now let's call it AI security, lack of a better term,
Yep.
it's all your marketing people that don't understand the technology, just trying to get someone to hook.
You got
But
it.
that leads to this. When you're talking about video analytics or let's say live video processing for active threats,
Hmm.
what you're really talking about is profiling, whether it be, I mean, and I'm going to leave race out of this because I think that's unfair, but I do think that profiling based on physical movement,
Hmm.
clothing that
Sure.
they're wearing, things like that. I mean, is that accurate?
To a degree. So now what I'm seeing is being a kind of a little bit of a breakout in the past 18 months is a combination of two different things. Natural language search. So let's say, I live in Chicago. It's a high-rise building and there was an eyewitness to a crime. Okay. They said, hey, it was a woman with a pink hoodie and a bun in her hair who threw the first punch or who stole the handbag. Now the security operators can type in, show me the images of the woman in the pink hoodie with the bun in her hair. And boom, you get a timetable, when she came, what she did, what cameras throughout the building she interfaced with. And so you get an entire timeline of how this person's activities were relevant. The other thing, and when we're using cameras, we try to detect patterns. So again, imagine a metropolitan city and maybe a camera going down a street. That camera is not designed necessarily to capture license plates or to say, hey, the red car versus the blue car. But if you're starting to see patterns of people going up to a house throughout the day, 5, 10 times more than any other house, what do you think that house is?
Oh, I would say drug house.
That's right. And so detecting patterns of traffic flow can do more than just saying, hey, this license plate, this ID. it can actually proactively formulate probabilities that require further investigation. And I don't think that that is profiling. I think that's just, being a smart cop.
Yeah, I think the problem, I don't know if you know who EFF is, but I've had EFF on quite a few times. Electronic Frontier Foundation. They're all
Sure.
about digital civil liberties, right?
Hmm.
And I think while I agree with you, I think that regardless of law enforcement or not, I think the biggest issue that we have is there's a point where, how can I put this? Well, it's only illegal if you get caught. Okay. I mean, that's the reality. I
For
mean,
sure.
you can say it's illegal, but who the hell are you to tell me it's illegal?
Yep.
Right? Now, we can get into the philosophy of governments and all that. That's not what we're talking about here.
Hmm.
Um, and so I think there is, even for those who are not necessarily criminals, I think there is a certain degree of, wait a minute, if I'm going to, in theory, break the law,
Hmm.
it should, in theory, be a person that catches me.
Right.
Right? But if I'm using this technology, it's not a person that's catching me, it's an algorithm. Now, I'm
Yeah.
not suggesting that we don't want to reduce crime.
I don't
Absolutely.
want to live in Minority Report either. Trust me.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Yeah.
I'm not interested in a surveillance state, right?
Yeah.
But that's where we're headed.
Yeah.
And that's a bit of a concern.
So with everybody and their brother, the past 18 months to 2 years is saying whose job is going to get taken from AI next. And I believe there's a big difference between enablement and doing more with less versus having robots hang cameras. I think when we get to a point in society when robots are doing and implementing security systems and making the final call, I think we're all cooked anyway. I don't think for example, let's say, hey, what's going on in all these cities now is a sporadic public gathering or called a protest, right? And so what are the probabilities of these protests, turning into non-peaceful? We're seeing that can happen, but detecting those and being able to add support, the detection of it, I think is a positive thing. And then it needs to be handed over to the human. It needs to have a chain of custody where the human makes the final judgment call. If we start to live in a world where it's the detection and the reaction on AI, we're done for.
Yeah, and that's exactly why I live off-grid in Montana, sir. All right, folks, this has been another T3D episode with Thomas of Umbrella Security. Give it a watch. Give him a call. Thanks a lot.
Appreciate you, man.